Alright, CFR Title 49, Part 209, Subpart E, reporting remedial actions. Purpose and scope. The purpose of the right to prevent accidents with casualties arising from the operative of the railroad. The result of the railroad failed to remedy the certain violation of the federal railroad safety law with the assessment of civil penalty of the recommended achieve the purpose of the what required of the effort safety the inspector to notify the railroad both the assessment of the civil penalty of the recommended the failure to comply with the provisions of the federal railroad safety law with the remedial acts. The report submitted with the railroad shall be reported to the FRA safety inspector within 30 days after the end of the calendar month, which the notification of received action take with the remedy of the failure. Subpart that does not relieve the railroad underlying provisions responsible to comply with the provision of the federal railroad safety law with the 30-day parent calendar day. 30-day period after the end of the calendar month, the notification received with the intent of merely for the provider of the railroad with the opportunity to prepare the report of the effort. It does not excuse the continued non-compliance. The subpart requires dismissing remedial action to report for the general category of the product. Physical defects required for the reporting violation of the final violation of the railroad and literally, specifically, correctly, and failure to comply with the provision of railroad safety laws responsible to determine the FRA safety inspector. No railroad is required to submit the railroad to the failure involving either the completed of the past transaction no longer remedied. 209-403 applicability. So part apply with any of the railroad received the written notification of the FRA safety inspector, both one an assessment of civil penalty with the recommended the failure to comply with the provision of federal railroad safety laws, and two then they must submit the remedial action reports. 209-405 report of the remedial actions. Except the provided in 209-407 each of the railroad provide the written notification in the form FRA 618096. The FRA safety inspector of the assessment of civil penalty recommended the railroad failure to comply with the provision of the federal railroad safety law with the railroad submit the remedial action report. The report for the form now the action to take with the remainder of the failure of the railroad submit completed form of the FRA safety inspector within 30 days and with the calendar month with the notification received the day of the recipient received the notification of the FRA safety inspector provided the written notification of the railroad the first of the class mail of then proposed the determination of the calendar month of which the notification received with the railroad shall be presumed to have received the notification 5 business days the following day of the material Maryland compliance with FRA Form 618069, including section of the remedial action code with each of the railroad that should be complete with the remedial action report with the manner of the prescribed in the report form. The repair should select one with the remedial action code of the reporting form the most accurately reflects the accurate action with the taken the remedy the failure should serve the repair and the placement of the defective component without moving the locomotive the car of the repair when permitted subsequent the repair completion of the required test and inspection removal of the non-compliant items of the service is not for the repair when permitted to reducing the operating speed with sufficient to achieve the compliance with the combination of any action code proof of the remedial non-compliance action cited a railroad selecting remedial action code with other remedial actions should be the alternative for the FRA with brief the narrative description of the actions actions to be taken. 3. Submission of the form FRA F61809 stick with the rail shall return the form of the first class mail of the FRA safety inspector with the knowing the address of the repair the form of any of the rail concluding with the violation alleged with the inspection of the report with the may not have the occupied with the occurred with the maybe support with the submit the remedial action report with the appropriate written explanation failure to raise all pertinent defenses. Does not foreclose the railroad from doing the responsible penalty demand. 209-407 delayed report. If the railroad cannot initiate the complete remedial action within 30 days after the end of the calendar month of the notification received, then shall prepare the written explanation of the response to such delay with a good faith estimate of the date with which to complete the remedial action, state with the name of the job title to prepare with, including either the photocopy of both sides of the form of the FRA 618096 within the railroad received notification of the following information: the inspector report number, the inspection date with the name item, the number, the sign date with the submitted the written explanation, estimate the first class mail of the FRA safety inspector whose name with the address and appear with the notification within 30 days of the end of the calendar month in which the notification is received, within 30 days after the end of the calendar month in which all such of the remedial action is complete with the record railroad should be reported in accordance with the remedial action procedure with the reference 209-405A. The additional provided with the section of the railroad submit with the delay report not excused from the liability of the continuing violation provision of the federal road safety laws. Alright, 209-409 penalty. Any person who violates a requirement of some part shall cover the violation any of the requirements of the subject of the civil penalty at least $650, $125,000 per violation. Penalties made the suffered against the individual only willful violation with a grossly negligent violation pattern. Repeated violation has been created. The amendment has of the death injury the person has been covered the death injury penalty not exceeded with 1,005. The per violation may be assessed each of the day of the violation continues shall consider the separate offense the person may be subject to criminal penalties provided in Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 21311. The formally codified in Title 45 U.S. Standard 438. The knowing will willfully falsifying reports required by the subpart. Alright, subpart 4-5F enforcement appeal the hearing and procedure of railroading decision pursuant to Title 49 CFR 172.820. read the next 2 pages, and that we're going to leave the appendix out, and we're not going to do the appendix. So, if the source may appeal with the hearing, perceive the railroading decision pursuant to the Title 49, 172, 820, the 209, 501, the review of the rail transit, safety and security of the route analysis, the review of the route analysis, the administration of the safety determined the railroad carrier of the route with the selection and analysis documentation pursuant to 172, 820, with the Chapter 1 of the title of the deficiency failed with the stop of the route chosen the career of the purpose. With the release of the overall safety and security of the risk of the associated administrator shall issue the written notice to review the notice of the railroad carrier of the notice that specifically address each of the deficiencies found in the railroad carrier of the route analysis of the notice may be also included suggested mitigation measures of the railroad carrier that may be taken the remedy deficiency found, including the selection of alternative commercial feasible routing. B. Council to resolve the deficiencies after issuing the notice of the associated administrative competence within the railroad carrier for the 30 days of the period of so long the period that provided with the associated administrator to resolve the deficiency identified the notice of the associated administrator to keep the record of all the written correspondence within the railroad carrier of the summary each of the telephone conversation the railroad carrier with the present the notice of consultation with the commandment of the other agent after the close of the conference period with the associated administrator concluded that the industry identified that has not been satisfied with the result of the associated administrator. Consult with the Transportation Security Administration and the Pipeline Hazard Material Safety Administration for the regard the safety and security for the route was proposed the railroad carrier with the alternate the route for which the carrier authorized to operate in the beginning with the consider the Associated Administrator to prepare for the written summary with the recommendation of the TSA and PHMSA pertaining the competence of Surface Transportation Board regarding whether the alternate routes be considered by the Associated Administrator would be considered commercially practicable. 3. Fully considerable input of the TSA and PHMSA of the Safety Transportation Board, the remainder of the decision pursuant to the paragraph D of the section shall be administratively final decisions of the Associated Administrative final of the route analysis of the documentation provided the railroad carrier of the decisions provided the support of the route, selected for the carrier with the valid issue for the commercial practical including alternative route. Associated Administrator concludes service without further action notified the railroad carrier in writing with the Associated Administrator including the railroad carrier of the route analysis does not support the railroad carrier the original selected the route, phase safety, security, consider the operation and significant preference of the alternative route. The alternative route is commercially practicable by the Associated Administrator with the issue of the second written notice of the second note of the railroad carrier. 1. Specifically identified deficiency found with the railroad carrier of the route with anything else to include the clear description of the risk of the selected route that has been satisfactorily mitigated. Explain when the available data with the reasonable difference to indicate that the commercial prescribed the alternative route and suppose with the fewer overall safety and security risk within the route selection of the railroad carrier, the direction of the railroad carrier with the beginning with the 20 days of the issue of the day of the second note of the railroad carrier with the temporary use. Alternative, the route with the Associated Administrator determined the less overall safety and security risk with the time the railroad carrier adequately mitigated the risk of the identifying the Associated Administrator of the original route selected by the carrier. Action following the second note of the rerouting directive of the issue of the second note of the directive for the use of the alternative route, the Associated Administrator shall make available to the railroad carrier with the administrator the record of the railroad of use of the Associated Administrator issuing the second note of the including the recommendation of the TSA, PHMSA, SCTA, and to the FR pursuant to paragraph 3AC2 and 1 of the section with the 20 days of the issue of the day of the Associated Administrator. Second note of the railroad carrier may comply with the Associated Administrator the directive of the use of the alternative the route with the carrier to work with the address the deficiency of the route with the initial analysis identified the Associated Administrator the final petition for the judicial rule review the Associated Administrator the notes pursuant to paragraph G of the section. After reviewing the design, Associated Administrator revised route with his analysis submitted with the response to the second note of the final submission for both route and analysis containing the adequate showing of the required carrier with the original section selected route posed the least of the overall safety of security requirements of the Associated Administrator notified the carrier of the carrier of the may use of the original selected route. Or G. Appellated the review that if the railroad carrier is aggrieved with the final agent for the action with the main petition review the final decision that appropriate of the United States Court of Appeal provided in Title 49 to U.S. Standard 5127 of the filing petition review that does not satisfy the modified force effect of the financial agency action unless the Associated Administrative Court orders otherwise. It is time in computing any period of the time prescribed in this part of the day of the accident, any act of the event with the default with which the designated period of the time begins, when it shall not be included the last day of the period computed, which shall be included within less than Saturday and Sunday of a holiday in which the event period runs until the end of the next day, with one and then form and days. Appendix A, Part 209, Subpart Agency Policy concerning enforcement of the Federal Railroad Safety Laws. Alright, we're going to skip the appendix for this. And that was part 209.